Hi everyone, I'm Jerry Ford and welcome to my Thursday night mini class. Tonight we're going to be discussing part 2 of our embroidery know-how series, Quilting in the Hoop. In this series, we're going to talk about how to do your own quilting without having to pay a long arm quilter and have it be uniquely yours. And in this series, we're going to learn how to embroider on your embroidery machine. On part 2 tonight, we're going to be talking about embroidering borders and corners on your quilt. The first part that I'm going to talk about is how I came up with this quilt block, and I'm just using an ordinary embroidery design, embroidering it on a piece of fabric, and then going ahead and doing some quilting in the hoop. And this I am doing using the IQ designer on my Baby Lock Destiny. It could also be done on the Brother Dream Machine. It could be done on the Brothers Luminaire or the Baby Lock Solaris, and a couple of the other models as well. Any of those that have the IQ designer. I'm going to show you how I came up with this block, but you don't have to do it this way. Each brand of machine has its own way of quilting. So you want to check with your dealer or your manual in order to find out how to do basic quilting. However, not all of us have these fancy machines. I still have the first embroidery machine I ever had. It only has a 4x4 embroidery field, and I have been able to use it to do in the hoop quilting as well. And I have come up with the spider design. You'll see it in a few minutes. And you can do this on any machine. You do not have to have a high-end machine to do this. And first of all, I'm going to show you how I came up with this Halloween wall hanging block in the first place. Okay, let's get started. Okay, now we need to take this design and we're going to turn that into an embroidered quilt block, and we're going to do it in IQ Designer. So here's what we do first. Okay, before we get into embroidery, we're in edit mode. We hit the select key and we're going to take this design, and it's about 4 inches by 4 inches, and we're going to turn this into a larger quilt block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this icon that's like the flower. And then what that's going to do is it's showing you the outline. We're going to take the IQ Designer and we're going to turn this into a shape. Okay, so it's molding. You can see where it's stitching in this lettering in between. I want it to go out a little further. So I'm going to keep hitting the plus key until I see it no longer do that. Oh, that's perfect. See, it's just outlining the shape, and that's exactly what I want to do. I like the shape of that. So I'm going to hit IQ Designer. And I'm going to recall from IQ Designer's stamp pattern list. Yep, that's what I want to do. Okay, and this should be the same in the Luminaire and the Solaris as well as the Destiny. They're all pretty similar. Okay, so now I would be ready to stitch this, but I want to add something to it. While it's still in the embroidery mode, I'm going to go to Add. I'm going to take it to IQ Designer or My Design Center. I'm going to set up my hoop. So that's going to be in the stamps. Not only do you get your shape, which I'll do that, I'm going to find the same icon that looks like this little flower. I collect that. And there it is. So I'm going to click on it and hit OK. Now it's brought that design into my space. Now I have to decide, do I want to stitch around that or not? I'm going to say not. So I'm going to turn this into a no-sew line. So I'm going to go to my line properties, and then I hit the no-sew icon, which looks like that, and then hit OK. And then I'm going to flood the line. And I believe it was already a no-sew line as it came in, but I just wanted to be sure. And then I'm going to go back to this stamp piece. I want to go up to this icon here, which looks like hoops. I'm going to tell it I'm going to use the 8x8 hoop. I'm going to really be stitching on a 9.5 by 9.5, but that's pretty much what I want to do. Okay. I'm going to make sure, again, flood this to make sure that that is indeed a no-sew line. I don't want it to sew that. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is go to my region fills. I want to use one of the specialties. I can either have a flat fill, stippling, or the specialties fill. So I'm going to hit select, and I want this one that looks like spider webs. Okay, and hit OK. I want it to be in a different color. I'll pick red. Doesn't matter what color you select. So, and I'm going to flood, and I'm going to go in between. There we go. All right, perfect. I'm not going to stitch anything else. I'm just going to be adding this. So I'm going to hit next. It's a pretty dense design, and I would like this to be a little bit further apart. So I'm going to take this and go to, maybe I can make this bigger, maybe 125. Well, let's go like 140. Let's see what that looks like. Preview. Yeah, I like that. It looks more like spider webs, so that's good. And I'm going to hit set and OK. All right, that's what it's going to look like, and I like that. So let's go ahead and get stitching to it. I'm going to stitch the design on here. And so I go to embroidery. So I've just hooped tearaway stabilizer, but you could use wash away, you could use the dissolve away mesh, whatever you need. And the first color of this is going to be yellow, so that's fine. I'll hit embroidery. Okay, and it's going to do that archway first. So I'm just going to let this stitch. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and stitch the design first, which is going to be this little, and it's got what, 6 color stops, and then I'll show you what we're going to do. I will do this off camera because that's, you know, frankly like watching grass grow. And in case you're wondering, this is just an Anita Good design that I had. I don't remember what packet it's from, but I've got so many of them. So, but you could use any design that you like. Alrighty, I will be back. Okay, it's all finished, looks cute. I've decided to use glow-in-the-dark thread instead of the white. So now I'm ready to quilt this. This is using the last color stop on this. So I've stopped the machine. I've cut out a piece of batting and backing about the same size. I'm just going to float it underneath. I just want to make sure it gets all the way underneath. You don't have to pin it. It's good to go. Okay, now I'm going to, now I've put glow-in-the-dark thread in here to do the quilting. And what I might do is I might increase the tension a little bit because this is set for embroidery. So I'm going to come over to here and I'm going to go to my tension. And I'm going to up that thread tension just a little, maybe by 0.4. Okay, that way you can see it's doing the last color stop. And that way it'll pull that thread up because you know that we have the bottom thread a little bit tighter so that we get a better satin stitch. But you know, I don't want a better satin stitch. I want it to be a more balanced stitch. So now all you do is stitch it. That's all there is to it. And this is doing a double run, so that's good. And usually it will stitch from the inside out, so it does. So if you've got any little puckers or something, it does quilt out the puckers. Because you see a tiny bit of puckering right here. Not a whole lot, but watch. The quilting will take care of it. And this will be a cute little table runner for Halloween. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. I'm just going to let this stitch out and I will be back. Okay, it's all finished. So we're going to take it out of the hoop. Yep, that turned out really well. Here, I remember tightening. A lot of times when you get a straight running stitch, you end up with a lot of straight lines and a lot of loops on the back, and I don't have too many here. Got a little lump there. That's where the a stitch out or in came in. I can clean that up, but I think that turned out cute. I would tear away this excess fabric, or the tearaway. It'll come out fairly easy. Because it's a rinse away, tear away hybrid, I don't necessarily have to take it out. In fact, if I were to wash this, this would be even softer and a little more puffy. So I've done this in the glow-in-the-dark thread, and I think that'll look really cute. I think I'll, instead of making a table mat out of it or a trivet, I think what I'm going to do is turn this into a little wall hanging or a door hanging and put it on my door next Halloween. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to use templates. As I digitize these little snowflake or little spider webs. And the spider webs, this is going to use old technology in order to place them. Here it is finished. I added a border to it. And so here are the two designs that I have. And if you want a copy of these, I'll be happy to send them to you in PES format only. I don't digitize in anything else. So what I did is I made a corner section and I made straight sections, so you can actually use these to line these as many up as you need in order to go around the border. And this is the same as using the continuous border function, only this is the simplistic way of doing it. I've already taken my template and I have marked the 5 points, and that's what this is for. This is an eyelet cutter. And if you watched last week where we were talking about perfect placement, these are used to make the holes, which is the outer boundaries and the center point. I transferred that to my fabric, and now I'm going to use my template to get it there most of the way, because on this particular exercise, I'm going to pretend I do not have a camera. Okay, so this is only quilting, so if I've made my border bigger than I need it to be. So I'm going to come over here and hoop that so that this line, these lines are all inside of this grid. And I'm going to use this to get this as straight as I possibly can. Doesn't have to be perfect. There's perfect and there's done. I like done better than I like perfect. That's pretty spot on. Okay, I don't think I need to do too much wiggling in the machine. Okay, so I'm going to stitch one. I know this other one will fit too, but I'm not going to fit it yet. I'm not going to mark this yet until I see what it's going to do. And embroidery, I put it on a jump drive. There's the corner. Okay. And I obviously have to turn it upside down. I put it in wrong. Okay, that's okay. Oh, and I want to get rid of that. I don't want that in there. So how you get rid of this from your screen is you go to your settings page, go to the last page, and just turn off the background display. And now that's gone. Okay, so I need to rotate it this way, okay? And then I'm going to go to embroidery. Now edit. I'm going to hit move, and I'm going to move it up to the center. And what I'm doing is I'm moving the arrow keys. Now that's one way, is just to manually move it. The next one, I could use this little snowman. I can also have it, to let it target. Is it a little bit higher? Okay. Now, if I was real confident that I knew this would be on the line, I could just start stitching, but I'm not. So I'm going to come to this one, and I want to change this to the bottom. Now, is that on the line? Yes, it's still on that vertical line. I'm going to go to the top, and I believe it's on the vertical line. Let's see. Yep, it's on the vertical line. Okay, so I think I can go ahead and, okay, I'm going to go to the first stitch. So I'm going to hit plus or minus here, plus or minus here. And what I had done is I don't know if it was in the camera, I checked it, these two quadrants, to make sure it was right here and right there. I'm going to let it go to one stitch. Okay. First stitch forward and go down, go up. Raise that presser foot, and let me grab that bobbin thread, lower presser foot, and I'm going to stitch it. This should only take 1 minute too. Oh, I was supposed to pull that up and not let that stop, but that's okay. I could do the next design, but I'm going to pretend I had to rehoop it too. I'll just load it first. Okay. I'm going to pull this off now. I'm going to load this into the machine, and I may have to change its orientation in just a bit. So I'm going to take this hoop off and go back to the table so you can see. When I printed it out, I put an arrow to indicate that was the top of the design. So what I need to do is I need to make this. So here's the first stitch. It's going to be right there. And then you do the second, and then you mark it. Okay. And sometimes I'll put in the arrow because I'll forget which way. Because notice these are not exactly where they were before on the last design. So this matches up with that. And give me my crosshairs. Now for this one, I'll go ahead and use my snowman. Okay, I know this is the top of the design. Here's my center. Truly love these snowmen. I'm going to put it back in the machine. I'm going to let it find it. Okay, and there I went to edit, and here's my snowman key. And okay, and I'm just going to let it find it now. Or I could target it just like I did before, where you would set it up and set all of the little marks where they go, and make sure the needle goes into the proper places. And we found it. Okay, and remove the sticker. And it did. And okay. All righty. Again, I'm going to go to plus or minus and go +1 so that I can have it start. And look, it's right in the exact same spot. There's my bobbin thread, and lower my presser foot and go. And this, I'm going to hold on to this and just let it go to the side. Stop it and pull it underneath. Tack it out of the way. Okay, and then I don't let it finish. Again, when it's done, I'm going to pull this out of the hoop, so I'm going to leave a nice long tail, go on the back, and leave a nice long tail. Okay, so I think that's pretty daggone close. I don't think I can get much closer than that. But if you really want it perfect, you take your needle and you would put it down here, make a knot and bury your threads. And therefore you'd never be able to tell where you started and stopped. Now, when you're working on borders like this, it helps to work your corners first, then work your way into the center. All right, let's take a look at this. Now I've done all 4 corners, and I've done one of the motifs into the center. Now we need to join this side to this side. And so I've taken my printout, and this is how the design is digitized, and this is the top. I need to turn that so that is facing the inside so that these lines will match up. So I know already I need to rotate that 90 degrees to the left. Okay, so I know, if you notice the design here, here's my start and stop. The center of the design is not necessarily going to be in that start and stop area. So I took my template and I did draw it out where I tried to mark where the start is and the stop. Okay, and I drew my crosshairs accordingly. Okay, so now I'm going to put this into the machine. I'm going to load the design, embroidery, and this is the design. Set it, and the first thing I need to do is rotate that 90 degrees to the left. So I'm going to rotate it and 90 degrees to the left. Okay, and there's the top, so good. All righty. So now yes, I've got a camera on this machine, but I'm going to do this as if I didn't. I'm using a 4x4 hoop. You want to keep your hoop about the same size, maybe just a little larger than the design you're trying to stitch, and you just get a better stitch out. Go to embroidery. There's a move key, and I'm going to move it and scoot it over to where the center is, or where I think the center is. Okay, a little further. Nope, not quite. Go down a little bit. And over one. I'm just going really close to get this right in the target. Okay, now if I felt brave, I'd go ahead and stitch it, but I don't. I want to check the start and the stop, because this could be not quite the dimensions that I need. I may need to stretch it out. I may need to shrink it. I may need to make it a little narrower. Let's see what happens. Okay, so when I go to my first stitch, so I'm going to be using this plus or minus. I'm going to go to my first stitch and look at it. Is that right on? I'm not sure. Raise that up and lower the needle. It is. Actually, it's right on. I want to check that end, and let's see what that's doing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. It's 332 stitches. 1, 2, 230. So it's 222. I want 231. Okay, the last stitch. And I'm going to go back and look again. Is it right? It is about 1/8 of an inch off. In other words, it's a little bit down. So what I'm going to do is raise that up, go back to 0 on my plus or minus. I need to stretch this design just a little bit. So I hit OK. I think it's back at 0. It is. I'm going to go back, return, because I need to resize this. This says it is 1.99 inches. I think that's high. All right, so I'm going to go to my size. I'm going to just come here. I want to stretch it just a little bit. Okay, I had rotated 90 degrees, but guess what? The top of the design is still here. So I'm thinking I want to stretch it this way a little bit, but instead of using that, I need to go this way, use that, because this is talking about the vertical, and the vertical on this design is going this way. So we have to think opposite. Okay, so I'm going to stretch it up on the width, 2.03. That should be enough. Well, maybe I'll go one more. Okay, then I'm going to test this again. I'm going to go back to my plus or minus. Embroidery to plus or minus and 1. Let's take a look at that. Okay, that's right on there. It's right on exactly where it needs to be. I'm going to pull that bobbin thread up while it's here because I'm going to come back there anyway. I'm going to go to my plus or minus and advance this to stitch number 330 or 231. When I come down, okay, it's exactly where it needs to be. I'm very happy. Go back to that first stitch. Okay, and now I've got my bobbin threads are already up because I did it before. Lower my presser foot. I am very confident that that is exactly how that needs to stitch. So let's give this a shot. I am happy with that. It is maybe a 1/2 millimeter to the left, but you know what? I have to bury my threads, so I'm going to make them match. Okay. Be ready to stop. Raise my needle, raise my presser foot, pull my needle forward, lower the presser foot again, and now I can pull my bobbin thread up to the top and remove it from the hoop, and let's go take a look at this. Okay, look at that. That couldn't get any better. Look how perfect that is. This one is maybe a stitch off, but by the time I bury that knot into this one, you're not going to be able to tell at all. Okay, I'm going to do this one more time, only this time I'm going to use the camera. And you will notice this is obviously very crooked, and that's okay. You know what? By the time it's stitched out, no one's going to know that it isn't perfect. So I'm going to bring the design in as usual. I've got to rotate it, so I hit edit and rotate it. I know it needs to go 90 degrees that way. Okay, I'm also going to make it white so I can see it. Okay, alrighty, and then as I make it bigger, see it's not even close. So now I'm going to use my move key, and I'm going to just sort of place it in the area here. Don't think it needs to rotate, because here's the last stitch and there's the first stitch. Here's the last one on this one and there is the other. So it's too short. It needs to be elongated. I think it's right on, but let's go ahead and take care of that size. So I'm going to hit size. And remember, it's rotated, so I instinctively want to do this one, but it's rotated 90 degrees, so I know I'm going to be making that one bigger. And I'm just going to keep hitting it until it touches. Maybe one more. And actually, I think it's pretty much on. This one's just a little bit over that way, so I'm going to rotate it that way a little tiny bit. Maybe one more. That's 1/10 of a degree. Nope, a little less. Okay. And move it up a tiny bit, and I think that's going to fit exactly. So this is really, really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I forgot to mention, I hit embroidery. I want to use this key down here at the bottom, remember, just to increase This here, I want to increase that tension by a little bit just so that I get a better balanced stitch. And then I can come over here to embroidery, plus or minus. I'm going to go ahead and hit that first one. And okay, there's my first one, and that looks like that's going to go. Okay, and then I'm going to go over to 232. And it's right there. Okay, back to 1. All right, I'm just gonna let it rip. All righty, done. And let's take a look. Wait, okay, let's take a look. Really close. Really, really close. I'm just going to blend those in by bury that in those tails there. This one is also. Now, could I have gotten that closer? Yeah, probably. I could have like played with it a little bit more, got a little bit closer, but you know, this is fine. You could come over here and just play with this until you get it perfect, and that way you'll have a wonderful border. Here it is finished. Turned out really cute. Border is perfect. It looks perfect on the back. You don't see the embroidery showing through on the back. Oh, there's your quilting. It is now ready for squaring it up, trimming it away, trimming the excess away, and putting the binding on and a hanging sleeve, and this is going to go in my door for Halloween. So that's all I have for you tonight. Stay tuned to part 3, where we're going to talk about doing edge-to-edge quilting in the hoop, which is a different technique, on our Embroidery Know-How series. Don't forget, if you would like the corner motifs and the single spider web, then send me an email request at waltzquilt@yahoo.com, and I'll be happy to send the design to you in PES format. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to email me, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, hit the notification bell, and subscribe. I will see you next week. Bye.